Hello and welcome back to another episode of Nick Tiffany's Movie Reviews, coming at you online and in print format at nicktiffany.com. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts in audio format, and you can find us on YouTube, TikTok, Reels, Shorts, pretty much anywhere there's social media video, you can find us. Today, we're talking about a big Sundance hit that I had definitely been looking forward to for a little while, one that piqued my interest just as far as some of maybe its satirical takes would go. And I was pleased to have a few friends who saw it at Sundance kind of come back and really rave about it and enjoy it. So when the American Society of Magical Negroes showed up on my movie list, it was like, okay, cool. It's coming out this week. I'm excited to see it. Justice Smith has always kind of been an interesting one, just as far as an actor goes for me, because I feel like I don't know why I always think he's younger than he is, but I've been waiting for him to kind of take on some different, maybe more mature roles. And so I think immediately in this film, I was kind of hooked on his performance and where the film was going. He plays a younger man named Aaron. He's a younger black guy. He's got a white mother, black father. Not that that is totally necessary to some of the story, but as far as the film goes, a lot of it deals with race. So, in most people's eyes, he's black. Whether he has that half white portion to him, most people still see him and treat him as black. So he is a young sculptor who's making yarn sculptures, trying to put himself out there, have his art sold. And in the beginning of the film, we just painfully see how hard it is for him to feel like he belongs and exists in a space that's dominated by, we'll say, mostly white people. Consistently apologizing to people for being in their way. People who are slowly strolling and, he's like jumping out like, I'm so sorry. Like, I don't mean to get in your way. Of course, when he goes to try to talk to an art dealer, the art dealer hands him his empty glass and he's too afraid to tell this guy, oh, I'm not actually the wait staff. But so much of this just kind of puts who he is and what he feels in his world. We immediately feel it. It's awkward and really uncomfortable to watch sometimes. Like, it's like, you don't need to say sorry to this guy. Like, if anything, this guy like bumped into you. But where the film starts to go from there, you see Aaron sadly leaving that place, going to an ATM. Drunk woman's fumbling around trying to find her card, puts it in there, doesn't remember where it's at. And so at first you think, okay, this is kind of weird. Is she going to try to like say something about him stealing it? And then of course, she's got a couple friends slowly walking over in the alley and she's drunk and I can't find my card. And this guy's holding my purse because she asked him to. And before you know it, you think Aaron's going to get beat up by these guys. And out of nowhere, the bartender from this art gallery earlier shows up, a gentleman by the name of Roger, played by David Allen Greer. This mentorly figure comes over and somehow the purse is no longer in Aaron's hands. It's back in the young woman's. The guys are feeling a little more calm about the situation. And then Roger tells him, hey, what if you guys are hungry? You go a few more blocks down. You check out this barbecue joint. It's run by my cousins. My grandma's secret sauce was unbelievable. It's just how she made it back in the South. You go in there. In fact, you tell them Roger sent you. They'll treat you like royalty. They'll hook you up. Then immediately you see all of these, these two white guys who are ready and about to beat this guy's ass just completely calm down. They're laughing. They're feeling light now. They're feeling like, okay, cool. We'll go ask for Roger. You know what? I love that. His grandma's sauce. It's great. And Aaron's just confused because he's like, I was holding the purse. What happened? And before you know it, he and Roger are transported to what is known as the headquarters of this American Society of Magical Negroes. And this whole idea is that this society has been around for a while. Their magic only works if you are using it in service of others, not yourself. But essentially, what this group has done is created a network that monitors specifically white people's emotions. We're monitoring their happiness levels, their anger, all these different things. And when someone starts teetering too far, that's when we are sent in to help correct them or help correct things, inflate their ego, get them back on a good path so that they are less threatened by black people. And a lot of, I was trying to remember this as I was writing my review out, just for the online purposes. But a lot of this movie deals with, I would say, discomfort. Whether you are a racist or not a racist, whether you believe someone to be or not, a lot of it just comes down to how people are in social situations, how people are in terms of taking accountability for their actions or their words. So accountability is something that also kind of stood out to me in this film. But touching on the work that they do, it's like, we can kind of view this meter. So those guys in the alley were ready and looking for an excuse, and we're upset enough and drunk enough that, hey, we're just going to start wailing before we ask questions or before we know what's going on. You're a black guy in this alley and you've got my girlfriend's purse, like we're going to assume the worst. But then you look at how Roger was able to calm the situation down, de-escalate it, familiarize himself, make himself not accessible, but relatable. It's like, hey, you've got nothing to fear from me. If anything, I'm going to be a great person to you. I'm going to hook you up with this, my grandma's secret sauce. I'm going to get you taken care of somewhere. The whole idea of the work that this group does is you are trying to comfort these. You bring them back to a level where they feel like, okay, you're not a threat to me anymore. And I might even actually enjoy you now, or we could even be friends now, or we could even be civil. And immediately Aaron, I feel like, much like the audience, is kind of like you spend your whole jobs just like catering to the needs of white people and like trying to boost their egos back up and stuff. That's like, that doesn't seem like a great job, but as Roger would say, you have to look at things historically though too. And you look at one point in time, you bite your tongue, you take the abuse or things that come at you because we were just hoping, your grandfather would come home. Back in the 1700s, 1800s, 1900s even, it's like we were hoping, if your father came home on a good day, or if your father came home, that was a good day. He kept his life. Maybe he took embarrassment. Maybe he lost pieces of his soul from shame he felt from the treatment he was receiving, even though he knew he could kick these people's asses, whatever it was, it was buried. It was kept down because surviving was more important. And so it's like, in the 2020s now, Aaron is obviously able to benefit from years of people before him, unfortunately, not fighting back for themselves. And it just really creates this interesting internal conundrum, I think, both for the characters and for the audience, because you can understand to a degree why, yes, it would be really dangerous in some situations if you were to express how you really felt, express all these things, how you might be perceived as an angry black man, an angry black woman. You look at stereotypes that still perpetuate today, and in so many different ways, it feels like a no-win scenario. So when Aaron is assigned to help this young white tech designer guy kind of boost his ego back, have him feeling great, it's probably going to be easy enough until he meets Lizzie. And Lizzie is another coworker who kind of works with them at this tech group. And, this idea that Aaron's kind of just blending in here, it's like, I don't really work here, but of course they have magic. And so they're able to just do everything that they need. So the best part of all of this is the film kind of becomes a rom-com almost at some point too. And so you've got Justice Smith and his character falling for Lizzie, who of course might be somewhat of an interest to this Jason character. And so it really kind of tests his own internal beliefs, because of course Roger tells him, no, you got to put him first. If he's even mildly interested in this girl, you got to bite the bullet and just help set him up. And I won't go too much more into detail just as far as the story goes, because it really did surprise me sort of how many different twists or turns it sort of had within this realm. But there's some great commentary both on corporate America and how, we're committed to solving these problems of race in the workplace. We need to be more diverse. We need qualified people here. We need to be more understanding. So we're going to rebrand. We're going to do all this. We're pretty much going to do a lot of talk, not a lot of change. And they tackle that in a really funny, truthful way, as far as, having friends who work at different tech companies, a dad who worked at a tech company, watching how tech companies handle their PR. Not even just tech companies, but just any company, and how they handle PR these days, these major corporations. It's just laughable, because you can read right through the lines. We're committed to change and making a better world for our employees and our customers. And you're like, I'll believe it when I see it, actually, And in the same sense, the film really dives into not just holding people accountable for their actions and their words, but this idea too of just not jumping to defend, I'm not racist, I'm not this, I'm not a sexist, I'm not an ableist, I'm not an ageist, I just think that the best person should get the job. I just thought that, if they didn't have those opportunities, they probably didn't deserve them, and I did. And there's so many things that are said in the film that, for me, have always been red flags as you read them. Sometimes people read stuff and it's like, oh, I can understand it. It's merit-based. It's all this other kind of stuff. And then when you're getting the full run through of just, you had this easy path right here, and here's this person who's worked hard at every level and whose work has been passed over or taken credit for by other people. So many things that just, so many people don't look outside of their own world and imagine what other people feel. And this film just brilliantly tackles so much of that. Like, this was more the movie I thought that American Fiction was going to be in some ways. And I say that as someone who liked American Fiction, had issues with the ending for sure, but also felt like sometimes it thought it was edgier than it was. And this film definitely doesn't get to an edgy level, but what I think it does really well is it just puts so many things into perspective, and what you're led to believe or how you're feeling during the film really either pays off or really just kind of, the way the film ends is just great. And even though there's this like fantastical element kind of surrounding it with the magic, and some of it might be a little tongue in cheek, like, I had zero problem with it. I don't think it was a detractor at all. I think if anything, it actually kind of played well into the story and actually played well with a lot of comedic bits. But Justice Hill was fantastic. He was really good. Sorry, Justice Smith. He was great. I really, really enjoyed his performance. I think it's just incredibly layered. He takes on so much. You can see how scared he is to just feel like he belongs somewhere, and just kind of the journey he goes on throughout, everything that he learns, everything he feels. I was really, really impressed by this movie as a whole. I really liked it. Director Kobe Limmy, who also wrote the film. This is just a great start to what should be, I think, a really great film career. David Alan Grier was awesome in the movie as well. Really fun take on the mentorship role without being too much of a hard ass, and still being cool and kind of funny enough. I don't know why I thought this movie was going to be based on like a young adult novel or something. Maybe it was just the name. It sounded like, all right, this has got to be a pre-existing type of, like a League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I don't know. This American Society of Magical Negroes. I'm like, that's got to be something. But since it is not, this is actually something I think that would be kind of interesting to take and maybe turn into an episodic or something like that. Partially just for how they approach, this idea of the magical Negro, this film trope of, hey, the only thing that this white guy needs to overcome this deal and find his confidence and get his mojo back, whatever it is a wise black person who's there to kind of console them and build their confidence up. And it's like, you got the magic in you all along, mister. And it's like, well, that's what I needed, or it's like, oh, you had here's this prized baseball glove that, belonged to my pappy. I want you to have it now, mister. Use it in that game and win the World Series. And it's like, wow, thank you, So they play with that trope really funnily, because Aaron, I think, is our conduit. He sees exactly what we see, which is like, you guys are going to some great lengths to make these white people feel comfortable. So I just, I hope I haven't seen much of a response to this that's kind of like, oh man, like they're too hard on white people or they're too hard on whatever. I think, if anything, they weren't hard enough necessarily, but I think more so just in how they approach that accountability aspect in so much. But I'm also glad with how they end things, and we don't necessarily need the viewpoint of the apologetic white person either. I'm like, that's not what we're here to watch, or that's not. It's good that happens, but we don't need to waste our time with that. But that's just my own personal thoughts. This is a great movie. Definitely one I think all audiences should seek out. It's not anything that's like so PG-13 that I don't think you could take your kids. There's maybe one F word, but I would say it's well placed and well earned. But this is a great film, so please seek it out. Let me know what you think if you do. Thank you again for tuning in to another episode. We're going to have a lot more coming out. We're starting to bridge into early movie season, I would say, as far as some of the blockbusters go. We got Ghostbusters and Godzilla, Civil War in a few weeks. I'm seeing The Matrix for the 25th anniversary next week, so we will be talking about that too. That's going to be awesome in theaters. There's going to be a lot of cool stuff coming that we're going to be talking about. So stay tuned to NT Movie Reviews on all social media networks, podcast platforms, and anywhere you get your videos like YouTube, TikTok, or otherwise. Thanks again for listening, and have a great day, guys.